Lakeland Public Television's Common Ground is brought to you by the Minnesota Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund.
My name is Paula Jensen, and I'm a metal sculptor, and I'm here to tell you how I made this great gray owl. I went to BSU to Diane Morris. They have a great gray owl mount there, and they allowed me to take measurements and get photographs and really study what the bird looked like. Then I went home and proceeded to create, and I started with the face. Because my thought is when you look at somebody or something, you're always looking at the eyes first. And I bought some floral foam so that I could carve the face into that. It was really easy to carve, and I could get a more three-dimensional feel for what was going on with the face. Once I was satisfied with that, then I went back out to the shop, made the eyes out of brass and stainless steel, built a bronze weld around the eyes and started carving. For the feathers around the face, I built weld up and then took a cutting wheel and cut just on one side of the weld to create a shadow all the way around. And then I took a die grinder and carved the feathers in. To do the beak, I took bronze sheet metal and hammered a cone on a wood stump in order to bend it right. And then I did the same thing with the bottom part of the beak, and I put them together like this. And I shaped it with a die grinder then afterwards. I created a fan-like or crescent shape, and I took a cutting wheel and I cut the feathers in. But I wouldn't cut it all the way down to the other side, so I had a bit to weld to onto the face. Once I got that in place and I ground down my welds, then I put another layer, the same thing, so then you had this type of an effect. You have a layering effect, so it looks like there's more feathers there than actually is there. The head, I'd form it so it was a bit rounded, and then I'd weld it to the back of the face. I had some feathers out this way so I could hide my weld in the back of the face. I had planned on building the whole head with a hole in it and putting the face in, but that didn't work out. So I just basically added pieces, and then I'd build weld up on those pieces and then carve those so they look like feathers. Once I was pretty much happy with the head, then I had to start working on the chest. And I did that in a whole nother complete piece. I just set the head aside and hammered the sheet metal chest so that it kind of looked like an owl chest, and then I'd build up weld on that in feather shapes and then carve it out with a cutting wheel. I had been using a die grinder, but I found that I didn't get the detailing that I liked, so a cutting wheel worked best. When I studied the owl, I found out that the largest that they had found was 33 inches tall, so that was my aim, was to go for 33 inches tall. And I figured out, well, I looked at the photographs on the internet, and I figured out, okay, if the head is a third of the body, then that kind of gave me the proportions. How I discovered what the shapes of the great gray owl's feathers were like, there's information on the internet. If you do a search on great gray owl feathers or great gray owl feet or any of that, there's studies out there where scientists have taken the measurements and taken photographs, so you can get all that information on the internet. I'm such a visual person, that's how I understand things. If I don't understand the measurements of the beak, if I don't understand the measurement of the head, if I don't understand that he's 33 inches tall, you know, from head to tail, I could end up with an owl that's proportionally wrong. So you have to get that into your head and understand it. And the only way to do that is to study a little bit. The whole sculpture weighs approximately 150 pounds. Most people that hire me to do private commissions know specifically or pretty close to what they want. Public commissions, you have several people you have to satisfy. Safety is the main concern. In this instance, I knew I didn't have to worry about how sharp things were because I knew it was going to be up where people couldn't touch it. In public, you have to be concerned about how many people are going to touch it. You know, are they going to get cut? So you have to be concerned about all that. The reason why my clients wanted a great gray owl was they came home one day and the lights of their vehicle had shone on their sculpture, the crane sculpture, and there was a great gray owl sitting there checking out the frogs around their pond. And it looked back at them and they thought, wow, that would be a really cool sculpture. So that's why this was commissioned.
If you enjoyed this segment of Lakeland Public Television's Common Ground, consider making a contribution at lptv.org.